This month's podcasts are sponsored by Aubergine Legal. Do you sometimes worry that your business isn't meeting all its legal compliance requirements and wonder if you're ticking all the legal boxes? Are you losing sleep worrying about a piece of legislation that you may or may not be complying with? Perhaps you need some help with your client contracts or your data protection compliance. Or maybe you're worried that your website doesn't have the right documents or legal notices in the right place. Perhaps you have a brand that you want to protect with a trademark. How about if you could outsource it all and eliminate all of your worries? If so, then get in touch with Aubergine Legal, a friendly commercial legal consultancy offering practical and clear commercial legal advice without the overwhelming legal jargon, taking the worry away and helping you to protect your business and minimise your risks. Aubergine offers a free 30-minute consultation if you have any questions or want to find out if they can help, and you can access this link and book your free 30-minute call via the link in the show notes. Welcome to the Bring Your Product Idea to Life podcast. This is the podcast for you if you're getting started selling products or if you'd like to create your own product to sell. I'm Vicky Weinberg, a product creation coach and Amazon expert. Every week, I share friendly, practical advice as well as inspirational stories from small businesses. Let's get started. Hi, so today on the podcast, I'm speaking to Karen Burke, the founder of Go Goosey. Go Goosey is an online retail company that sells her unique product, the kids' unisex quick drying onesie and microfibre towels. I had a really great conversation with Karen. I know I'm always telling you I have good conversations, but I really do. Karen's story is really interesting. She had a really clear vision for her product and a real clear need. She created a product to help other parents like her who had similar struggles with keeping their kids dry after swimming lessons. And we cover so much in this conversation. We talk about Karen's inspiration for the product, as I've just touched on. We talk about how she actually created it and how long it took. It took a lot longer than you might expect, and Karen is really open about why that is. And we also talk about the USP for Karen's products. Karen is someone who, in my opinion, is really good at articulating what makes her product so unique. Everywhere I see her, whether it's on Amazon or on her website or when I see her social media posts, she's just nailed her USP and how she talks about her products. And I think that's something that lots of us can learn from. And yeah, she just shares so many little nuggets and mindset points of view that I think that you will hopefully be inspired by and learn from. So I would love now to introduce you to Karen. So hi, Karen. Thank you so much for being here.
That's okay. Good to be here.
So can we please start with you giving an introduction to yourself, your business and what you sell?
Yeah, my name's Karen. I'm the founder of Go Goosey. My main product is the kids unisex quick drying onesie, and it's for kids' use after swimming. So no need to dry first, just pop on and go. So it's my own product that I came up with.
That's amazing. And I think that's the product that all of us sort of parents who take our kids swimming need, actually, Karen, because that's the bit when they get out the water is just a nightmare. Yeah. So I would love to know, is that what inspired you to create the product?
Yeah, so my daughter always laughs and says, I inspired my mum to make this product. And I was like, yeah, it's because you had tantrums that I came up with this product. So my background is that I adopted my daughter when she was 2.5. So she hadn't really got in the pool before then. So took her swimming. The swimming part was great. She really enjoyed it. Coming out, as we spoke before, was just so stressful. I mean, I was cold, she was cold, she was screaming, everyone was looking at you, you're trying to get them dried and dressed, you're trying to get yourself dried and dressed. And I thought, surely there's got to be an easier way. So I went home, and as you do, you're lying in bed going, there must be an easy way. So then I thought, do you know what? I'm going to come up with something. What can I come up with? And I know they had towels, and I thought it needs something that they need to put on and stay in and not have to change them again. So obviously the onesie was, something I already had in my head, and it was something that was already out there. But I thought, well, that doesn't dry them. So over the years, I then started getting different fabrics from different places, researching. They were coming from America. It was coming from Europe, just trying the different fabrics, wetting them, seeing how quickly they dried, and suddenly found this material actually from the States. And thought, this is it. And then obviously you then have to go through the designing stage. Well, I have no retail or fashion experience whatsoever. And it was kind of a bit like imposter syndrome. I think to myself, I'm just a mum who's come up with an idea. How am I going to get this to market? Or will I ever get it to market? So it took me about 6 years from start to finish to put things in place, find a designer. So, and we're now selling. So.
Oh, that's amazing. And thank you for sharing that. And thank you for being so honest about how long it took as well, because I think when you look at other people's stories, I've spoken about this on the podcast before, it always feels like everyone's got it together. They know what they're doing and everything gets done really quickly. So it's really good for you to say, actually, I didn't know. And it took a long time, because I think that is the reality for lots of us. I mean, when I launched my first product, like you, I did not have a clue, did not know what I was doing. And I found at the time there wasn't a lot of information out there. It was almost that there was too much out there. And it can be a bit overwhelming. So well done for persisting. I mean, I think you must have had such a conviction in your idea to keep going for all that time.
I think I was just passionate about this. Is just something that parents need, something that, is going to make their lives easier. It's not just for me to make a quick buck out of it. It's to go, I'm passionate about this. It's helped me and I want it to help other parents.
Yeah, and I can definitely tell, because as you said, I mean, your daughter, was she still at an age where she needed it once it was ready? That must have been nice, if so, to be able to use it.
Yes. Yeah. So she's in the 10 to 11 now. She's 11, but she's in kind of 12 clothing size. So she's just about growing out of it. So she said, can't you make a bigger one? And I'm like, that's something that's going to happen later, I think. So that's in the pipeline.
Well, that's exciting. So talk us a little bit through, how did you actually get something made? Because you spoke about the fabric and you found a fabric that worked. But as you said, having the fabric, knowing you want a onesie, surely there's a lot in between. And,
yes.
I don't know how. Yeah. Talk us through what you actually had to do after that.
So first of all, I needed to see whether it worked on a body. So I got my friend who was really good at sewing, because I was useless at sewing even. I bought a simple pattern, onesie pattern, gave her the material, she put it together and we tried it. So then she said, well, that's all I can do. I'm not really experienced to do anything more than that. So first of all, I did find a fashion designer because I wanted something designed, and we worked together for a short amount of time, but our visions were different and it was becoming more about her product and not my product. It's not that I wanted it. I wanted her ideas, but I just knew where I wanted to take it and it was becoming far too elaborate. I just wanted to keep it quite simple. So we parted ways on good terms. And then I thought, you know what? A fashion student. I'm going to, so I looked up on LinkedIn. I saw a local fashion student, contacted her, said, would you be interested in working with me? I can pay you. It'll only be, it won't be a lot, but, I'm happy to pay an hourly rate. So in between my job, I used to meet her at lunchtimes. We used to talk through exactly what I was looking for. She would come up with drawings and ideas. And then she put together a tech pack and, put something together, which was amazing. And it was exactly what I wanted. And we've done some tweaks since then. But generally, she came up with the overall design.
What a good idea to find a student to work with. That's really clever, because I guess it helps both of you out, because you're obviously getting someone that can help you. And I assume that you pay them less than you would pay a designer with years of experience, but also then she's getting that practical experience that I'm hoping she can use in her, I don't know what they have nowadays, coursework or whatever it is.
Yeah, portfolio.
To show. That's really good. I really like that.
Yeah, so it's utilising, a local graduate to give them experience. But I think it's nice, and this is what we all do, and this is what everybody's doing now in kind of industries. It's supporting local businesses. So, there's lots of things that I don't know how to do, in business, including, putting together my product. But I think, there's so many people out there that are willing to give their help and give their advice. And it doesn't necessarily have to cost you a lot of money. And if they're local, even better. Tap into their knowledge, tap into their skill set. If you don't know how to do it, find someone that can.
That's really good advice. And I like the thought of keeping it local as well, because you're right, it is really nice to be able to support another small business.
Yes, exactly. So, but yeah, then after that, I then went, I thought, right, okay, I've now got to find the material in bulk. So obviously I found this material in the States, but it was working out too expensive to bring it over. And then, so I was looking in the UK. I really wanted to use a factory in the UK, but it just wasn't feasible. One, a few of the factories didn't want to know my product, just because it wasn't probably big enough, because you have minimum order quantities. And also it was too expensive. I wanted to put, I'm a single mum myself. I had a particular amount in mind that I wanted to charge, and it just wasn't making it even the closest bit feasible. And I thought, I want this for everybody. I don't just want it for the elite and, for the people of Harrods or anything like that. So I then thought China, but then thought I have no contacts in China. So I then looked up a local company, I say local, in Lewis, who do work between you and China. So they help put together the tech pack. They've got those relationships. They sort out all the shipping, so they can give you a landing price. So the landing price is the unit cost it's going to cost getting it to your door, rather than what it costs just to be made. And I thought, I need that person who's got that experience to do it. And yes, they take a cut from it, but you've got somebody to go to if there's any problems, if something's not quite right, if you want something changed, and they've got that relationship already with that factory. So I still work with them to this day. Been going, we launched in September 2021. So we're obviously coming up to our, 3-year mark in September. And, it's still building. I mean, it's a lot of work. I'd say more work to the marketing, which you know about, then it probably is to put them, package them up, because once they're made, I haven't got to make it. So once you've got your product, it's obviously there. I package it up and I send it out. So that's not the difficult part for me. I think it's just getting the brand out there and trying to show people what they can do.
That is really hard. And we'll talk about that a bit more in a minute, actually, because I think that's something I would really like to talk about. I just had wondered, so with the onesie, so were you, just so I'm clear, because I'm nosy, so were the factory making the fabric and them making the onesies from the fabric, or were they able to source the fabric in bigger quantities?
They sourced the fabric. So I said the fabric came from the States, and they said, you'll be able to get it in China. They said, we will find the fabric. So they were sending me lots of different fabrics, and I was going, no, yes, let's try that one. Let's pull it together in a sample and let's try it. So there was some toing and throwing. We had to send it here, try it. Can we tweak that? Can we do that? Had to go back again, try again. Probably had a couple of goes of getting it right. And even since then, I've been getting feedback from customers. I've tweaked it again. But obviously for the next order, it wasn't that the first one didn't work. It was just certain design points that just, I wanted it easy to put on. So our cuffs we've made a bit shorter now, because they were slightly longer. Yes, they can be stretched, but I wanted it easy. So that's been changed. The hood I've made slightly bigger so that it can completely cover, and especially people with children with, I mean, my daughter's hardly got any hair, but a lot of children have loads of hair. So you want it to be able to cover and keep them nice and snug and warm. So we've changed that as well. So yeah, it's those tweaks that you make with the obviously the people in the interim company. So.
That's really good that you're able to make all of those tweaks as well, because I think you're right in that when you first start out with a vision, obviously you were thinking of your daughter at age 2 when you started this, and 6 years later the product's launched. I think it's really good that you're able to see what other people think and how they find it, and whether it's easy to put on or whatever it is, and then adjust your product for that, because I think it can be really hard when you've got a clear idea of what it is. I think it's really good to have all that feedback.
And also what's quite difficult is every child is a different size.
Yeah.
So you can, and again, it's learning from that. So I've actually, with my new design, have gone bigger on the measurements, because people were ordering, say your 4-year-old, so they were ordering a 4 to 5. And yes, it fitted them, but it wouldn't last them long. And I want it to last them long. I mean, my daughter's been in hers for 16 months now. So when you buy the product, yes, it's obviously more expensive than buying a normal onesie, but it doesn't do what the other onesies do. but I want it to last. And, when you buy something at a cost or, something slightly more expensive, you do want growth. You do want ease of putting on. And because it's a onesie, it doesn't matter if it's actually a bit baggy because we've got the cuffs. So on the ankles and on the wrists, they put it on. And I used to say to people with the old design, go bigger, just go bigger. They're going to grow into it. It's not going to fall down. They're putting it on after swimming. They're going home. They're sitting it. They're not going off to school in it. So go bigger. But now I've upped the measurements and I've said to people now, go for the size that your children is wearing. So clothing size, because your child may be a 4, but wearing 6 to 7 clothes. So I say go then for the 6 to 7, because we've got 5 different sizes and from 2 to 11 years. So it's a case of now I don't get any returns to do with sizing because people buy it and go, oh yeah, no, that fits them, and they've got some growth room as well.
That's really good. Yeah, I really resonate with that because I am that parent whose children are always wearing things slightly too big because I want to get my money's worth.
Absolutely.
I could really see that. And that's really good. And it's really also a nice example of how you've reduced returns by making that change as well, because that's obvious. That's really good that I think that you've been able to say, okay, people are making returns because of this, and then been able to do something to address that.
Yeah, but I've had no returns because of what it can do. So that's great. So that's brilliant. I think I've had one return, and I mean, I've sold probably around about 500 now. And I think one return because it wasn't quite right is brilliant. So
I think that's amazing. Wow, that's as return rates go, that is fantastic. And let's talk a little bit about that now. About why customers aren't returning. I think it's because, well, I'd like to know what you think it is, but I think it probably is that you articulate really well what your product is, what it does, and who it's for. In my mind, this is something that you do really, really well, Karen. So I'd love you to speak a little bit to that, and also about your USP, because I mentioned this to you before we started recording. I love that you tell everyone what's different about your product. You've having this conversation so far. You just drop in, why yours is different to other onesies. And I think having a USP is so important. So share with us what yours is, and then we'll talk a little bit about why, how that helps.
So it's the material. So the material is water repellent, so it never gets soaking wet. So when it goes on your child, with or without a swimsuit, it never gets wet. Even when I take it out the washing machine, you will feel it within a couple of minutes and it doesn't feel soaking wet. So putting it on your child, even if it's slightly damp when it first goes on, it dries within 10 minutes, which is amazing. And even with a swimsuit, it takes slightly longer, but the outside never gets soaking wet. So it keeps them warm and takes slightly longer, but the kids don't feel it. They're nice and warm. They're happy. You can go home. So it just saves so much time. And that USP I probably overuse a lot. Whenever I'm doing any marketing, whenever I'm mentioning the onesie, quick drying, unisex, quick drying, because the unisex bit is there's not a lot of you buy for a girl, you buy for a boy. Why shouldn't it be for both? Why shouldn't it be that you can pass it on from sister to brother, from brother to cousin? It shouldn't matter. So that's why I went for the unisex colours as well. And yeah, I do mention it a lot in marketing.
I think, and that's what I wanted to talk about marketing. And that's what I think is really good though, Karen, because I think it's really hard, I think, for a lot of us to think, okay, what is my product's USP? How do I make it different? And I think you're an example of someone who's done that so, so well, because you're right. Everywhere I see your products, you're stating really clearly what makes them different from the others. I think you actually might even use that wording somewhere, about why you're different from other onesies. And I just think that's fantastic. And do you find that and I know it's hard because you can't talk from the other side, but do you think it makes marketing slightly easier because you have that sort of hook to talk about?
Well, they know what they're getting. And I think by doing that, I mean, I'm tapping into, I thought, the after swimming market. But since then, it's been on the beach market, coming out of the sea, putting it on in between splashes in the sea. People have said to me, camping, or it's something that I don't do. So they said, taking the kids to the showers, pulling it on, they run around, it's already dry. You haven't got soggy towels hanging up in your tent. Hot tub, festivals. Someone says they're taking it their kids with it to festivals. So actually, it's customers that have told me the many uses that it could be. I was concentrating on swimming lessons, taking them to the swimming pool, but actually it can do so much more. And that's what I'm trying to build on, I must admit.
That's really helpful. And something I'm really taking from you is how much feedback you're getting from customers. Are you actively asking for that, or are people just telling you, or a bit of both?
So I do reviews. So whenever I send my product out, I put something in there to say, please, we're a small business. Can you give us a Trustpilot review? Change that now to Google reviews. So I've got quite a lot of Trustpilots, but I learnt, and I'm learning all the time because I'm doing different courses when I've got time because I've got another job. So in between all that, I'm learning that Google reviews really, really help as well. Amazon reviews, that's a bit more tricky. And what I'm kind of doing with the Amazon ones is, which is fantastic, I'm getting repeat orders from Amazon. So when I see it's a repeat one, I handwrite something in there going, thank you so much. You obviously love the product. You've ordered again. I really do appreciate it. Can you do a review? I got one. So out of every probably 4 or 5 messages I'm writing, I am asking for it. But it's so important to get those reviews, whether it's Amazon, whether it's Trustpilot, because that helps your ranking as well when people are looking up your product. So yeah, anything you can do to, encourage people to go to your website is worth doing.
Definitely. And I think obviously you're reading the reviews as well, because it sounds like you're taking a lot from them in terms, you've already mentioned you've adjusted the sizes, you're talking about different uses. So it's really good that you're doing something with them as well. They're not getting reviews for the sake of having lots of reviews, which, by the way, does help.
Yes.
But I really like that it sounds like you're being quite thoughtful with what you do with the information in the review as well.
Yeah. And also, I was talking to my manager about this the other day, and as it hasn't happened to me yet, touch wood, but sometimes you do get bad reviews. And he said, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's something, I've had people give feedback within those where it would help if we could have this, or they weren't putting the product down, they were just trying to help. But if you do get a bad one, you're not going to make everybody happy. And I think that's a difficulty. You just want to please everybody. You want it to work for everybody. As I said, I haven't at the moment had any bad reviews, but if I did, don't react to it badly. Just, say thank you for your feedback. I will take those ideas on board. I'm sorry you had a bad experience. But I am so quick I think being a small business as well, I want to over deliver. So I used to think when I first started the business, oh, that's fine, I'll fill it in with my other job. I'll just look at orders Monday, Tuesday, Friday and work around it. No, I am literally, as soon as that order comes in, first do a happy dance, then I'm literally there, getting it out, getting it packaged up, getting it ready for delivery, making sure it's out. And if I wake up in the morning and I see a delivery has come in overnight, I will have it out that morning. That's
amazing.
Because I have to, because I go with every Hermes, I have to have them out by 11. So when I do it, it's got to be kind of on the school run. I've got to drop them off. So I have them out as quickly as I possibly can. I don't leave it a couple of days. So, and the standard delivery with them is 2 to 3 days, and they're pretty good. They do get it out within about three days. So, and I want people to go, oh, wow, rather than, oh, God, that's taken ages. So I want them to go, oh, I only ordered that yesterday, and that's coming in it's arrived in 2 days' time. So
I think you're right. That does give a really good impression. I ordered something yesterday and I got something this morning saying we've dispatched your order. Yeah. And immediately I went, oh, because I knew it was a small business. I'd specifically chosen a small business. And when I saw how quickly it went out, I just sort of did a little, oh, that's really, it makes you feel really positively towards that company.
Well, it does, especially when you're trying somebody new. I think if you know with the likes of Amazon, if you've got Prime that you're going to get it the next day, it's you just know that. Whereas when it's a new company, and often I suddenly realise that I've ordered something and it's coming from America, and I never realised it was coming from America, and it takes 3 weeks to come, or it doesn't come at all, which is what I've had recently with one of them. So as you said, coming from a small company and you getting it within a few days. And I had a lady at the weekend saying, actually, I have ordered the wrong size. So I've actually replaced it before she's even sent the other one back. So I've not had an incident yet where I've not got it back. But and in fact, now I have learned as well, I've given them, when I go above and beyond. I mean, it was them that obviously wanted to send it back. So I do sometimes say, I'll pay for the delivery, or if there's, if it wasn't quite right, or not that it was my mistake, but I think it's just that over delivering. I think when you're a small business, you want to just people please. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's just people pleasing. I think it's just giving people something to make you different, because not all a lot of small businesses are great, but not all are. As you say, I've done the same thing where I've ordered something, and then a couple of weeks later you go, I'm sure I ordered something, and then you look in your emails and you say, oh, that was weeks ago and I haven't had anything. But when you have a positive experience, you remember the company, it gives you a good feeling about them, and you're just so much more likely to talk about them, to recommend them to other people. So I think that sort of thing's really important.
And getting repeat orders is just brilliant. You it's even more exciting. You just think, notice that you're like, oh my God, they've ordered again. And it's not necessarily that they've ordered again because they've had to order the next size up. They've ordered for someone else. They've ordered it as a present, and then given a good review as well. So, which is fantastic.
It sounds like you're doing lots of good things. I actually have an interview coming up with a lady who focuses on customer retention. So that episode, let me have a look. I actually think that'll be published after your episode, but it's about customer retention and the things we need to do to keep customers coming back. And I have to say, you are doing those things. So yeah, that's really reassuring. Because that was something I'd never thought of, actually, about how important it is to get people to keep buying from you than always looking for new customers. Yes. So that'll be a really good episode as well. And coming back to what you were saying about reviews, I really like your take on that as well, because I think lots of us, we could have 100 5-star reviews, and you get that one star and it ruins your day or your week, because one person doesn't like your product. So I really like your take on it, and I'm going to try and remember that as well, because you're right, you can't please everybody, and you don't know why that person's when I receive an email, I go, oh no, I've received an email, and then automatically you think, oh no, something's gone wrong, or they've not received it, or something's happened. And actually it's either something positive or it's just something simple that you can rectify. And as long as you can sit back at the end of the day and go, I've done my best. And if your best isn't good enough for them, then there's not a lot you can do. As a small business, you're passionate about what you sell. You're passionate about your service. And if it's not up to standard, as I said, I haven't had, sometimes it's beyond your control. Things like, I had somebody the other day, she goes, I just wanted to let you know that here's a picture of the box when it arrived, and it was battered. Absolutely battered. She goes, the product inside was fine because they come in bags, so luckily it was fine. She said, but I thought you'd like to know. And I said, thank you so much. And I've reported it. And I must say, I've seen a few where this has happened. Luckily, as I said, it doesn't affect the product, but it doesn't look very good. I've spent ages, I've stamped my boxes with Go Goosey on. I've got my return address on the bottom. I've put my leaflet inside. And when it turns out, she said, I couldn't even read the leaflet inside. So it looks like, it's not a good image for my business when it's arriving like that. So absolutely not. And I think the reason, though, we do get upset by some of the more negative feedback is obviously because we all care a lot about our products and are really passionate about them. But I do think your advice that as long as you have got, and obviously you tick all of these boxes, as long as you've got a great product and you're providing great customer service and you're doing all you can, if one person doesn't like what you're doing, I think you have to sort of be able to say, okay, that's one person. It's a shame, but
of how many?
Yeah.
When I look at reviews, I booked my holiday recently. There's in 20 reviews, there was a bad review, and you think, oh, well, that's their opinion.
I often think maybe they're having a bad day. Sometimes I read a review and I think they might just be having a bad day. And also
something else has happened. I used to be an air stewardess, so sometimes we get people absolutely going mad on board. And I was a person, I actually said to the people that, the crew, said, look, they're actually not having a go at you. They're having a go at the company. And actually it's what's come before that. Maybe they were late. Maybe they had a long queue. Maybe they had a screaming child. And then they came on board and you didn't have the meal that they wanted. They've lost it. And they haven't lost it just because of that meal. They've lost it because of everything that's gone before that. So you have to think of that as well.
Yeah, that's really good advice. Now, you mentioned earlier, Karen, that you're selling your products on Amazon as well now. I'd really like to know what your experience has been on Amazon so
I think
far.
you know this.
I do know this for the benefit of everyone who doesn't.
Yeah, it's hard. I think they just make it quite complicated. And, putting it all together, it takes so much time. And this is why I came to you, and you just broke it down so quickly and easily. And it was fantastic. And just, I think once you know what you're doing and you're doing it on a regular basis, but for me coming in, putting those products down and then that's it, you then hope that they sell, it is a minefield. I just don't think they make it easy, to be honest. And also the different emails that come in, and it's very confusing. I have to say, very confusing. And I'm still getting to grips with it, but it is getting results. And I have to say, before Christmas, majority of my sales were through Amazon and not through my own website. It's actually balancing out now, which is great. But I have to say, most of my sales, if it wasn't for Amazon sales, I probably wouldn't have had much before Christmas. I think last year was quite quiet for retail generally. But yeah, and it's getting my brand out there. And I just get so excited when I see Scotland, when I see all over the country, and it's reaching a different part that it's not gone to.
I thank you for sharing that about Amazon. And I think you summed it up really well in that there's obviously, could be a great opportunity because, as you say, your sales, we did some work at the end of last year, your sales are going up. Hopefully that's going to continue. So it is a great way of selling your products and getting more visibility. However, it isn't the easiest place. And I think it's really important for you to say that, because I often tell people, it's not that easy to get started on Amazon, not to put people off, but because I always like to be honest. And I think it's really good to share that because, I think a lot of us, when I first started selling on Amazon, I thought I was doing something wrong because I was like, why can't I make this work? Why can't I figure out how to do it? I honestly thought it was me. And then over the years, I've worked out that it's actually them and not the rest of us. There's some comfort in that, I think.
I mean, I was on the help desk this morning and they weren't helpful at all. I mean, I was just asking a couple of questions and they've got their set things that they want to say. I think, you gave me a very good bit of advice that actually talk to them, get them to call you, which I'd never used before, because you just normally with these big companies, you think, oh, I'm not going to bother with that. No one's going to call me. And actually, I was busy doing something else and I missed a call from them because it came through quite quickly. I actually did this via a chat this morning and I've worked out, the reasons, but it wasn't a good interaction. It was, I felt that they were just reeling off sending me, look here. And it's like, no, I'm just asking you a question, why has that happened? And and then if you didn't reply within 30 seconds, they said, we're ending the chat. And you're like, oh, no, don't go.
Yeah, I think getting someone on the phone, I think for anyone struggling with Amazon, getting someone on the phone is always super helpful because there's nothing like being able to, pin someone down, really, which is what you need. I think often just to pin someone down. Okay, this isn't what I'm asking. This actually is what I'm asking.
Yeah.
And I'd like an answer before you hang up, please. And I think 9 times out of 10, that does actually work.
Yeah, no. So the only time that I have actually spoken to them, they did sort it straight away. So I can't fault that. The chat this morning wasn't so great, but I actually, it's more frustration of knowing the reason why that they can't do something. So more work for me to do on there. But I got a resolution, I suppose, with them. But keep going with it. I mean, it is, if you want to get your brand out there, I'm not doing. It's called FBA, isn't it, where they have the products for you and send out. I'm not doing that at the moment just because they take so much commission from it, I think. So I'm trying to carry on as I am. Whether when I get bigger, I will go into that, and whether that means, and that's something I probably need to ask you, is by doing FBA, does that mean that they then deal with all the customs if it does go out to different countries? I don't know. So because I'd love to get out to other countries, but customs are just it's just that minefield of I just worry about the customs charges, the shipping charges. If anything, I might go out to America and Australia, but I'm not going to go out to Europe because I think they're making it too difficult.
I mean, I'll give you the short answer is yes, you can absolutely sell on Amazon in other countries, or you can sell in the UK, but let them send your products to other countries. So if someone from Italy happens to go on Amazon UK and they really want your product, Amazon can send it. So all of this is possible. But to make this apply to everyone, I'll just say looking at the fees is really important. So for some people, I think it's absolutely it's a great option. For others, not so much. It really depends on what your products are, the size of them, and how much they sell for, because all of these factors together impact the fees. And the fees is really on Amazon. Most people that I know that aren't doing something, whether it's FBA, whether it's selling their products in Europe, it's because the fees don't make it worthwhile. Yeah. So that's what it really comes down to. But yeah, at some point we'll have to have a very specific chat about your products. Yes. and what will and won't work. But I think you're taking the right approach as well, which is start off, when I say small, start off, fulfilling orders yourself, and just build from there. Because one of the great things about Amazon is the flexibility. So if you could decide tomorrow that you wanted to send some stock in and just do it, you don't have to. It's not like you have to have everything set up from day one. It's not like you can't change your mind. And I think that is one of the positives.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it is, the FBA thing is something I may be doing in the future. But as I said, I am just going to stick to the small, the small sales at the moment. But it's as I said, it made up most of my sales before Christmas. So definitely worth doing.
Absolutely. And I'll just add to that is because you put the work in. That I will say that everyone I know that's doing really well at the moment is because they've put some work in. Unless you do that, it's a lot harder. And you probably saw that once you gave it a bit of attention, it did make a difference. So it is, even though I
haven't even done ads yet. I haven't even started on ads yet, because I think that's another thing that I need to get my head around, getting the ads out there. But from what I can see, I'm fairly high up. And again, I'm tweaking it all the time. I'm learning, you said about the keywords in Amazon. I've suddenly realised that people are putting in robe when they're changing robe. So I thought, I put, it's not a robe, but in the keywords I've put in robe, so that when people do a search, they look it up and go, oh, well, I can see it's not a robe. I can see it's a quick drying onesie. But, it's having those key areas just right.
Yeah, and that's what I mean by doing the work, because it is tedious doing the keyword research and tweaking your listings, and it can feel like, it can just feel like work. But I'm really pleased that it's paying off, because that is, unfortunately, especially when you're not using ads, unfortunately on Amazon, that is what it takes.
Yeah.
Because it's all search driven, and if you're not coming up in search, you don't stand much of a chance.
Well, as far as I know, I am. But whether I'm putting in those keywords, I don't know. So
no, you are, and you're doing a good job.
Yeah, thank you.
So I have one final question before we finish, Karen, which is, what would your number one piece of advice be for other product creators?
Don't I can't even say it. Procrastinate. So yes, I took 6 years, and 6 years of that was binding fabrics, working with a designer. But a lot of that was, how can I do this? I'm a single mum. How can I even think about putting a product out or building a brand? But just do it. And there's people out there, as I said before, there's people out there that are willing to give you that advice, that are happy to, I've tapped into people on LinkedIn. There's, women that have started businesses. There's, mentors. You can get free mentoring help. I mean, I've had where I live in Kent, the local government give money out, and through this company called Smarter Society, I've had 8 hours free marketing advice. A fantastic guy called Richard Liberman, really good. He gave me invaluable advice. Just don't wait and sit there and think, I don't know how to do that, or I don't know how to do that. If you don't know how to do it, find someone that can, and they'll help you. Because we're the people that have had the idea. We're not expected to know everything.
That's really good advice. Thank you. And it's interesting because I've spoken to a few people recently who've said, oh, I got free mentoring or advice or grants even from government or different organisations. And I think a lot of us just don't know this is out there. So I think that's also a good reminder for people, go away and see what there is that you can take advantage of. Because I think a lot of these schemes aren't actually very well advertised. No. And unless you go looking, you're not maybe likely to come across them. So thank you for that. I think that's a really good reminder for everyone to go and see what could you be taking advantage of that you're not currently.
Definitely. And, and that they want small businesses to do well. It's good for, the local businesses. It's good for, whatever your product is, whether it's, something for local, something for national. And there's so many there's networking places that you can go along to if your product, there's craft fairs. I mean, I've tried fairs and I'm not sure they work for my particular product, but so many people do them and do fantastically well through them. So, and then you stand next to a stallholder who gives you another bit of advice. So I think that networking is, because when you're a business owner, you're working on your own most of the time, and it can get quite demoralizing and like, oh, will I ever get this product out there? Whereas if you're talking to somebody else and you're at these networking or you're at the fairs and they can give you that advice and you go, actually, it's not just me. They're going through exactly the same, and they can actually give you a bit of advice of where to find someone else that you're looking for, or something that you're not able to do yourself. So don't sit there on your own. Just ask for help and say, I don't know how to do it.
Oh, that's so helpful, Karen. Thank you so much. Thank you for everything you've shared. We'll link to your website and all your socials and everything else in the show notes. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Vicky.
Thank you so much for listening right to the end of this episode. Do remember that you can get the full back catalogue and lots of free resources on my website, vickyweinberg.com. Please do remember to rate and review this episode if you've enjoyed it, and also share it with a friend who you think might find it useful. Thank you again, and see you next week. If you've been inspired to start a podcast in 2024, I really recommend my podcast host, Captivate. Captivate were my top pick when I started podcasting 4 years ago because of how easy it was for a complete novice like me to get started. I've stuck with them for the last 4 years because Captivate is still really simple to use. They keep adding great new features like the ability to share ads like these, and they've just been really reliable. So when you're ready to start your own podcast, you can use the link in the show notes and get a free 7-day trial with Captivate.